Hey guys, welcome to the sixth episode in the Android development tutorial series. So, in the last few videos, we saw the basics of Android development and we made a very simple app, a voter app. Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about intents. Alright, so what are intents? Okay, so in Android, we have four basic components. So, any app you take, any Android app you take, consists of these four components. Alright, these are the core components of Android. So they are called activities, services, broadcast receivers, and content providers. Right. So we'll talk about content providers, services, and broadcast receivers later on. Okay. Let's just consider the activity. So you know what an activity is, right? Any screen that you see is an activity. Okay. So this intent is kind of a messaging system between these services. All right. So you can talk between one activity and the other activity. All right. You can talk between an activity and a service. All right. So this intent is kind of like a messaging system between these components. All right. So in the previous videos, if you have noticed, okay, we only used one activity. We only had one screen throw, and we've done everything there. But in the real world apps, if you see, if you take WhatsApp for example, so when you open WhatsApp, you have a list of your chats, and then when you click on any list, okay, it goes to a different screen where you can see all the chats, right? So this is basically the first activity is an activity where you have the list of the chats, and when you click, it redirects you to a different activity where all the chats with that particular person or group is shown. All right. So we're gonna do something similar to that in this video. Right. So I've created a basic activity called basic project called intents tutorial. Okay. So create a basic project with an empty activity. Right, let's go to activity main.xml. Okay, I think this is too much to zoom. Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go up here and instead of this constraint layout, I'm gonna have something called a relative layout. Right? So in the previous episodes, we've only seen one kind of layout, right? That is a linear layout. So in linear layout, the views are stacked one below other or one, in a horizontal position or a vertical position. But in relative layout, what we can do is we can tell that okay, keep the first view here, all right? Keep the second view to the right of the first view. Keep the third view below the second view. Alright, so we can give them this kind of constraints on where to place the view. Right. So we're gonna have a relative layout here. Okay. We're gonna have an edit text. I'll have the width to be wrap content, height to be wrap content. Actually, I'll have the width to be match parent. That will be better. Okay. I'm gonna have a margin of 16 dp. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna give it an ID of add plus ID edt underscore message. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come below this edit text and create a button. Okay, give the width of wrap content, height of wrap content. So if you see in the preview pane here, this button is placed over the edit text. Why? This is because since we're using a relative layout, by default, every view you create will be at the top left corner. Every view you create will be at the top left corner. But in linear layout, since we have to stack it one below another, or in a horizontal way, it will stack according to what orientation you give in the top, description. So here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the button, okay, and we're gonna do Android layout underscore below. So what is this says below which layout do you want this button? Okay, so I'm gonna say at id slash edt message. Okay, so if you see here, this magically came down below the edit text. I'm gonna give it a margin of 16 dp again. Okay, and to make this look even better, I'm gonna do something called center horizontal. Okay, what is it? Aligns it central in the center horizontally. Okay, so this is something that is only present, that is not present in the linear layout, but it's only present in the relative layout. So you want to see what all options you have. So you just give Android and you can see all the options. All right. So most of them you can understand. So if you say layout to right of, so to the right of any layout, align parent bottom. So parent is the relative layout is the parent here. So these are child views and this is the parent view. So align parent bottom means it will align to the bottom. So if I click this to be true, see it comes down. Alright, so if I don't have wait, what's that? Okay, you get the point, right? So this is how it works. Okay, so let me remove this align parent bottom. Okay, so now okay, so we have this. I'm gonna give it a text of submit and an ID of add plus ID button submit. So one more thing that you have to take care of is the ID, right? So if you see here, I've given an Android ID of at plus ID slash EDT message. But when I'm referencing it here, I've just given at ID slash EDT message. Why do I have the plus here and why don't I have the plus here? It is because any ID you give will be a part of something called an R class. So if you remember the earlier video, when we're using the find view by ID, we give r dot id dot the ID of the view, right? So any ID you give is a part of an R class. Okay, so when you give add plus ID here, it means that the ID hasn't been created previously and you want to create the ID right now. Here this at id means that that id has been created and you just want to reference that id. All right, so when you want to reference the id, you give at id slash edd message. If you want to create the id, you give at plus id. So if you don't understand this, just have this as a thumb rule. Whenever you put Android id, you should use a plus. Okay, everywhere else you reference an id, you should not put a plus. All right, so now we have this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to type some text in here and we're going to click submit. So once submit is clicked, it's going to take you to a new activity and show the text whatever typed there. So what do we do? First thing, we go to the project menu in the side, click on Java, right click, we click new, and we like come down here, we see activity, and here if you go down you can see something called empty activity. You click on it. So every screen is an activity, right? So if you want to show a new screen, we have to create a new activity. All right, so that this will create a new activity. So activity name, let me give message activity. Okay, so layout name is already activity message, right? You know, make sure this isn't clicked, launcher activity isn't clicked, because our launcher activity is the main activity, because we want that first to launch and then this should launch when you click the submit button. Okay, click on finish. So it will create the new activities. Okay, so if you see again, we have an XML for that particular activity and the Java class for that particular activity. Okay, so we'll go to main activity Java here. Okay, we'll go inside or the on create method. I'll say edit text. Okay, so if you get something like this, it's just because you haven't imported it. So to import it, okay, just click somewhere in the text, click alt enter, it will automatically import it. So if you see, I have this import here that is created. All right, so whenever you have something like that red, just try this. So this might be one of the reasons why you might have an error there. So right, so I'm gonna put edt underscore message equal to find view by id r dot id dot edt underscore message. I usually like naming my instance variable and the ID to the same, just just for convenience. So that's something I do if you want to do that. So I'll have a button of btn underscore submit. I think that's what the ID I had. Find view by ID or dot ID dot btn underscore submit. Yeah, all right. So we reference them both. What we should do, that button submit dot set on click listener. So and then you we all right. So I hope you know what this does, right? So if you don't know, this basically tells that when this button is clicked, execute whatever is present inside this method. All right. So to get this whole big thing, you don't have to type everything. So you type the set on click listener and you just put new space v. Okay, if you see the first option, it says viewer on click listener and this brackets. So just click just click enter on that, and it will create all the things for you. So this basically says that when the button submit is clicked, execute whatever is there inside this method. Okay, I'm gonna say string message equal to edt message dot get text dot to string dot trim. Why am I trimming? Because we have limited resources, right? So right now we have one edit text, so it doesn't matter. So but when you go to a really big project, you have to calculate these memory constraints in mind too, right? So suppose someone types ABCD and he leaves 20 spaces, right? So when you don't have this trim method, you go the size of the message is gonna be ABCD and those 20 spaces. We don't want that. We just want the ABCD. So when we do trim, sorry. So when we do trim, it removes of all the trailing white spaces so that we just have whatever we need. Okay. So we have message here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create something called an intent, right? So intent, okay, new activity intent, all right. Or you can just if it's too big for you, just give I equal to new intent. All right. So since we're going from one activity to other, okay, this intent requires two parameters. The first parameter is the instance of this current activity. So for that we can just say this, right? So if you're not familiar with Java, this refers to the context of this current class. So in this case, the activity. Okay. So I hope that's clear. So if you okay, and the second parameter should be which class do you want me to go to. All right, so that will be message activity dot class. Oh yeah, since we since we're inside this is something called an anonymous function. So since we're inside here, we have to say main activity dot this. Okay, so if you don't okay, so this is something called an anonymous function. All right, so you don't worry about that right now, just you have to give main activity dot this. So this is the context for whatever activity we're in, and this is the context for the whatever activity we have to go to. Okay, so now what we have to do is we need a way to pass this message to this activity through the intent. So what we do is I dot put extra. Okay, so intents have these properties called extras, so we can pass some extras here and that will be received there. So in intent, the core thing is you just need the context of whatever activity you're in and the context of whatever activity you're going to. Alright, so this message is kind of like an extra you're passing, right? So since this is kind of like a messaging system, you're giving some extra data to it. Alright, so you have put extra. The first thing is something called a tag, okay, or name. So this is how you will reference it in the second activity and get the value. So I'll just have something called message, okay, and I'll pass message. Okay, then finally what we have to do is we have to call a method called start activity and then pass in the intent. Right, so we're done. So what do we do to open a new activity? We create the intent where the first parameter is the context of the current activity you're in, and the second parameter is the context of the activity you want to go to. Alright, so if you want to pass any extra, you can put the intent dot put extra with a tag. So this tag will be used to receive the extra there. So here we're passing a string. Okay, you can also pass what you can also pass integers, floats, booleans, all those basic things. Okay, so after you say start activity, the activity will start. Okay, so we have created the messaging activity.java, right? So we'll go to the message activity underscore message dot xml. Okay, we'll have a relative layout here. Okay, so here we want a text view with this wrap content, height is wrap content. Okay, we'll have an id of tv underscore message. Okay, and I want this to be center in the whole activity. So how do we do that? Since we're using a relative layout, we have called center in parent. We just put true and it's centered. So if you wanna, since we can't keep a text here, if you wanna see what will display, so we have something called tools. Okay, you put tools colon. Okay, now if you put tools colon text equal to, you put some text here like, hey there, this is the, okay, let me zoom in here. So sorry for that. All right, so hey there, this is the message. So if you see, you can see this text here, but this tool is basically used for, whatever you put in here will be shown only in the preview pane. When you run the app, nothing will be shown here. Okay, so we'll insert the text from the Java class. So this we just using this to just know where the text we enter is coming to. All right, so you can see this. So the size is too small, I think. So I'll give a text size of maybe 24 sp. All right, that's fine. Okay, so I clicked command option and L in the Mac. Okay, so it basically, aligns the, changes the alignment, makes it look good. It's not a big thing. Okay, so let's go to message activity.java. Okay, so here what we need to do, that we have to get the intent we're passing from the main activity. Okay, get the data and then put it in the text view. So first let me create the text view. Okay, text view tv underscore message equal to, okay, zoom in here, sorry about that. Okay, find view by id or dot id dot tv underscore message. Okay, now what do we need to do? We need to get the intent. So how do we get the intent? We say intent, we create a variable to store it. So intent I equal to, we just say get intent here. So this will, give you the instance of the intent with passing. Okay, what first we do is we check if the intent has the key we passing, right? So there are lots of way to open this activity. So for example, we can open this activity from the main activity using this key, or we can open this from some other activity using a different key. So we need to first check that if this key is passed in the intent with passing. Okay, so it's just like, a way not make an app crash. So what I do is I say if I dot has extra, and I pass the key here message. Okay, so this is what we've named in the main activity when we passed it, right? So if the extra is there, okay, I'm basically saying string message equal to I dot get string extra. Okay, so this get string extra, when you pass an extra, when you pass a string into the extra, you will use this get string extra method to get it from the intent. Okay, so here we'll also pass the tag we give message. Okay, so now this message variable contains whatever message we passed from the main activity. Now all we have to do is display the text. So tv underscore message dot set text is message. Okay, so what if we don't have the key? Okay, we'll just say tv underscore message dot set text, howdy, there is no message for you, right? Yeah, seems fair. All right, so we're done with the app. So what if, let's go, let's run this and see what happens. So I'm clicking on run. I have my emulator set up, so I'm gonna run it. So don't worry about this, warning for now. We'll see this very soon, what this warning means and how to fix it. Right, so right, so this Gradle build is running. So let us run it. So I hope you understood the basic overview of how this app is working right now. Alright, so our activity is installed and launched. So if you see, I have this here. So I have my edit text and I have a submit button. So I'm gonna give like, hey there, your first message, and I'm gonna click on submit. Hey there, see, you can see that in the second activity. Right, so if you go back, you can see the first activity. So let us pass something else. Hey there, how are you? Alright, and I'm passing it. Hey there, how are you? That works, right? So let's do something right now. I am not giving anything here, okay, and I'm clicking submit. See what happens, you get nothing, right? But we don't want that. So when we have nothing here, we have to warn the users that, dude, there's nothing here, are you sure you did the right thing? Right, so let's go back to the main activity. Okay, so once we get the message, we'll check if there's anything in the message. So we say if text utils dot is empty message. So what this checks is the message empty? It checks that. Okay, if it's empty, you say toast dot. When you click on toast, you this whole thing is generated. Okay, so this toast is a way of displaying a short message in the activity itself. So I'll just show you how it works so that it'll be better for you guys to understand. I'll say you haven't passed a message. Okay, and I'll return here because we don't want to execute the below part if there is no message. Okay, so what we're doing is when we click, we're getting the message. If the message is empty, we're saying, dude, there is no message here, check it again. So I'm gonna run this app, make sure it works, right? So the Gradle bin is running and the activity is launched. So I have nothing now, right? So I'm gonna click submit. Just watch this lower part carefully. Wait, let me do something. I'm gonna change this length short to length long. So it just says how long you want. You basically have two time limits on how long you want the toast to show. So short shows in a short interval of time. Long shows in a longer interval of time. So I'm gonna run this again. Okay, so make sure the changes have taken place. Alright, yeah, and it's installed. So let me go back here. Okay, so now we have nothing in the edit text. I'm gonna click submit. Make sure you see this bottom part carefully. Alright, so I'm clicking on submit. It says, see, you haven't passed the message. So this is called a toast. It is a short message you can give to users to warn something you haven't done on some error. Alright, so click on this again. See, you haven't passed the message. So let me say, hey there, I'm your message. Okay, and I'm gonna click submit. Now it's gonna open the new activity. Alright, so let us go over what we did from the beginning. Okay, so we had in the activity underscore main, we had an edit text and we had a button, and we enclosed them inside a relative layout. So we told this button to be below, we told this button to be below the message. Okay, and we came to the main activity. We referenced both the edit text and button. Okay, so we have this final here. Okay, so since we're using this edit text instance inside this anonymous class function, so we have to declare it final for us to use it inside here. So if you remove this final, you can see it shows an error here. See, variable edt message is accessed within inner class, needs to be declared final. So let me declare it final. Okay, so we have a button also here. Alright, so on buttons click, okay, we're getting the message typed in the edit text. If it's empty, we're basically giving a toast to tell the user that he hasn't passed the message. Okay, if it's not empty, we create a new intent where the first parameter is the context of the current activity and the second parameter is the context of the activity we're going to. Okay, we give it an extra saying that, hey dude, I'm giving you this intent with some extra here, so you use it however you want, and we're giving it a message with the tag message, and we're starting the activity using this call. Okay, start activity. Okay, so if you go to the message activity, we're instantiating our text view. We're getting the intent using the intent method. Okay, we're checking if the intent has the message we're passing. So we're saying if I dot has extra the message. So if the intent has the message, I'm getting the message from the intent using the get string extra method. Okay, and I'm setting the text to the text view. If I don't have the message, I'm just saying there is no message for you. Alright, so I hope this is very clear to you guys. So I will see you guys in the next video.